Good morning, my fellow yogic travelers. I'm mighty glad to be alive today, and I hope that you are too as we continue to live, laugh, love, learn, linger, and live the life we love. It's Tuesday, so it's my little song ditty here. You know, I love Bob Dylan. This is for you, Arthur, out there in New York. I don't even know what these words mean, but I love singing them because it sounds so cool. And, Desolation Row. I'll only do two verses here, not to take up too much of your time. They're selling postcards of the hanging. Oh, they're painting the passports brown. The beauty parlor is filled with sailors. Oh, the circus is in town. Here comes the blind commissioner. Well, they've got him in a trance. One hand is tied to the tightrope walker, and the other is in his pants. And the riot squad, they're restless. Oh, they need somewhere to go. As Lady and I look out tonight on Desolation Road. Cinderella, she seems so easy. It takes one to know one. She smiles and puts her hands in her back pockets, just like Betty Davis style. And in comes Romeo, he's moaning, "You belong to me, I believe." And someone says, "You're in the wrong place, my friend. I think you had better leave." And the only sound that's left after the ambulances go is a Cinderella sweeping upon Desolation Road. You want to hear the other verses? Go to Bob Dylan. But I love the way he puts those words together. Anyway, here we go. So for my journaling friends, whether you're writing this down, thinking about it in your own mind, elevating the conversation with whoever you're with, or getting back to me, in which case we'll have the conversation. How do you keep your wonder child alive and let yourself continue to be a kid? And the corollary of that is, do you remember, how did your parents play with you? How active or inactive were they? Not saying that they had to, or there's anything wrong if they didn't, but bring up some of those memories. And I always like to say, keep your wonder child alive. You have to learn how to be childlike as you get older without being childish. All right, that's the second naivete. All right, my teacher says, you have to cross the boundaries of the known, which have a frontier, to the unknown, which is frontierless. So I don't know how you do that in your practice, but that's one of the reminders. And as I always love to say, there's a suffering that comes from practice, and there's a suffering that comes from not practicing. Choose the suffering that comes from practice, whatever that practice is, because it demands something of you. Now, my Buddhist meditation teachers say there's always a sense of polarity when you watch things, but don't look at it so egocentrically, like you're watching or trying to control the situation. We're always keeping on top of what we're doing, but not so heavy-handed. So Rinpoche calls it awareness without the watcher. Now, my mythological teacher, Michael Meade, keeps reminding us that our imagination is potentially divine, but it's also a prison. The leaders of our country have rigor mortis of the imagination, have it for a long time. They can't envision anything better than what we currently have. So mythically, what you have to remember, there's a moment of eternity waiting for you every day, and it's your job to find out where that is and catch it. So both art and whatever your spiritual practices are, those are two different ways of accessing this moment of eternity and being conscious of it when it arrives. Right? Recognition is part of the understanding what the truth is. Now, my Christian input from Matthew Fox, he keeps reminding us we are sons and daughters of the great verbs: to let go, to be, and to let dialectic happen. So there's more than one side simultaneously of the story that you have to listen to. Spirit liberates and sets the captive free, the captive within you. And that's the only way that you can learn to both share celebration and compassion. You got to free that spirit, be thankful and grateful for all the joy that is in your life, and at the same time recognize that the catastrophe of human existence, the nightmare of history, has a lot of pain and suffering in it, and that has to be embraced as well. Then we go to my psychological teachers, and they remind us that consciousness itself is the wound producer. Like in the Garden of Eden, if you can understand the allegory, they ate the tree of good and evil, and all of a sudden they were ashamed that they were naked. And what does God say? Who told you you were naked? The lack of self-awareness, the complete unself-consciousness, is what allows you to have that primal beauty and innocence. It's only when you start thinking that you're in dualism. But fortunately, the self, the center of the psyche, the totality of all that is able to reconcile all opposites because it is the organ of acceptance par excellence. So if you touch the self, you can reconcile all the different kinds of adversarial splits within you. And if you do that, then you get to the affirmation masters who always remind you, use what you have. Spiritual advancement is not a question of intellectual activity or acquisition of more knowledge. You already have it within you. So put into practice what you already possess and apply it more carefully. And then you will see that your life becomes one of learning by doing. And the skill to do comes in the doing. Have a great day.